All right, everyone, welcome back to the Have It All podcast. And it's an interview one today. And I'm kind of excited because I love to share with you guys stories of people who have gone through the process mentally and had that be applied in their physical world. And today's guest, Akbar, is the perfect example of that. He's someone that, like us, started in the online space, actually was doing network marketing for a while, which he'll talk about, and really excelled incredibly quickly in this world. So I'm excited to have you on here, brother.
Thanks, man. It's an honor to be here. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. And you just said you popped in to surprise your parents in Connecticut, yeah?
You know what? I did. It was really a beautiful moment for me. I'm just like, because I was in Sydney for a couple of months, and so I haven't seen them in a while. So I'm just like, there's just so much going on, but I'm like, you don't forget. Doesn't matter. It's actually a really beautiful moment of clarity for me because I was so busy, so behind because I was traveling to Sydney for 2 months. But I'm like, you know what? Screw it. This is the most number one important thing. We're just gonna make it happen, and we just jumped on a flight, came over here to Connecticut, and really happy about it.
That's awesome, man. It's so interesting because my parents, well, my mom actually moved down to Florida last March, so she's been there working, and my dad's been up here trying to get the house sold and like get everything wrapped up. But he literally just left last Thursday to move down, and it was a brutally beautiful experience. I mean, it was so heartbreaking, and at the same time, I got so much growth out of it. Probably like one of the
Right.
biggest breakthroughs I've ever had. So yeah, it's just really nice to hear, people that actually have a close relationship to their parents, and it matters to them. Because when I posted it, I was like so hurting. People were saying, it's so beautiful that you even get to feel this kind of pain because for most people, their parents going away and they're like, thank fucking God. Like I don't have to be around you anymore. So it really is beautiful when people make it a priority. I love that.
Yeah, it's you know, here's the thing. It's like, people like you have the entrepreneurial journey, right? And it's like you start off from the beginning and then you just go up and you scale and scale. It's like, eventually you get the business portion figured out, right? You can hit seven figures, you got all that figured out. And it's like one interesting thing about life that I've noticed is that it's never perfect.
Hmm.
Do you know what I mean? It's like there's always something going on. Like for me, it's like, yeah, I got a great business. We got here from nothing, but I don't have my parents like in my life as much as I want them to, which is a big, negative for me. So it's like it's just really interesting how life is just honestly never perfect.
Well, you want to hear something interesting? So and this is very, very new to me. So this is like a concept that I've really been playing with over the last year because, I know you, like me, you read a ton of books about personal development and spirituality. And one of the things that I've started to realize, and you've probably heard this in books, like everything is exactly how everything is supposed to be, right? And so this concept of, you just said it's never perfect. I've actually taken on that everything is in fact perfect.
Right on.
There are things that we can desire, right? Like your life, I want you to share a little bit about your life story. There are things in your life at the time weren't the way that you necessarily wanted them to be, and the desire to want more or desire to have different is obviously innate in human beings. And at the same time, there's this like gratitude and appreciation for that it's all perfect just the way it is. And it's been an incredible journey to just bring that kind of awareness and presence to every moment. So like, it's interesting you say about your parents. Yes, obviously you'd want them to be around more. And look, because of it, you're actually making that a reality. So
Right on. It's interesting you say that, man. I just had a live event. I hosted my first ever live event in Sydney, and I was doing a session on like seven figure mindset, right? I was never really like a spiritual person before, and I guess we'll get more into my story a little bit. But after my near death experience, I actually became more spiritual. Hey, how you doing? How's it going?
babe, can you come back later?
Uh,
Give me like an hour and I'll come get you. Okay?
I love it.
Love you.
I love that. I love what just happened. Like that's
Yeah.
just one of the most beautiful things about like what we do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, But yeah, I was saying, like, I was teaching a 7-figure mindset. I'm like, dude, you know what? And I'm gonna get a little spiritual on you,
Yeah,
but
please.
like, I feel that God really loves us. Do you know what
Mm,
I'm saying? Like, imagine your mom, for example. Like, how much does your mom love you? Like, whether you have a good relationship with her or not, right? Like, how much does a mother love their child, generally speaking? Like, a lot. Like, it's stupid love. Like, your wife will never love you that much. Your sister will never love. Like, nobody in the world will ever love you as much as your mother. And I feel
yeah,
like God loves you a lot more than that, right? And actually, God just wants what's best for you. So, like, we're humans, right? It might, like, every single thing I feel happens for a reason, right? So even if like some random guy comes in right now and punches me in the face for no
yeah.
reason at all, right? I'm like, dude, it's okay. Like, I'm not gonna go nuts. I'm like, I don't know. Maybe God wanted me to go to the hospital so I can meet this poor person who needs my help.
Yeah,
I don't know. You
yeah,
know what I mean? Like, but I know that things are way beyond our understanding,
yeah,
but there is a master plan for us. So once you have, like, okay, so if you look at your mind as like a canvas, right? And a lot of people pollute that with woulda, coulda, shoulda. Oh man, regret. Oh man, if only I bought Bitcoin back in the day, or you know, loud freaking out, whatever, right? But it's like, dude, if you have this mindset that we're talking about right now, then all that crap is just like cleared from your mind,
yeah.
and now you can have a clear, focused space to utilize to scale and grow. Otherwise, if you're polluted with all this regret, woulda, coulda, shoulda, Bitcoin, blah, 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 dude, it's hard to grow. It's really hard to focus and grow. So I love what you're saying, man.
Yeah, it's so so good. So I know we kind of jumped right
I
into it
know.
without really delving into who you are and what you're up to. So why don't we just take like a couple steps back and let people know kind of about your journey, what you've been on, what you're up to.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's been wild, man. It's been a wild 10 years. I mean, for the longest time, I was in a terrible place, man. Like, I was um very overweight. I was 50 pounds overweight. I was in toxic relationships. I had more bad habits than I can count on my fingers.
Hmm.
Um, I was in a terrible relationship. I was not spiritual, and I had no real why, right? So everything I just mentioned to you is kind of like what I feel like creates a human, like all these different things,
Absolutely.
like physical health, mental health, relationship, why, like, so all these things were so off on me. Like, off isn't even the word; they were pulverized. They were
Mm.
so, like, picture a car, like where the engine's just clogged with like heavy tar or something like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like sand or something. And dude, that journey led me to basically crippling anxiety,
Crippling
uh,
what?
crippling anxiety disorder,
Okay. Wow.
which led me to a string of terrible decisions, which led me actually in the hospital, um, half dead,
Wow.
because I was mixing a lot of things I wasn't supposed to be mixing. And um, but guess what? It's kind of ironic because there's this hospital. I'm sure you know about Yale.
Yep.
So my dad always wanted me to go to Yale uh, University. Well, I never ended up there, but I did end up in their hospital.
Wow.
So I always thought that was kind of funny. But anyway, I should have died, but I didn't. And I was given, I felt like I was saved. I was given a second chance. And man, I'm happy to say that I think I'm taking advantage of it. I immediately dropped all my bad habits, like cold turkey. You know,
Mm.
there's a lot, and that's kind of like a whole different topic. There's a lot of stuff I don't believe in as far as addiction goes. Um, but I dropped all of it, cold turkey, all of it. And I became spiritual, and I lost 50 pounds from eating organically. No, I mean, no offense to anybody, but no keto, Shido, South Beach, potato diet, this, that,
Just
this.
putting good food in my body.
Just eating well, really. I know everybody wants done for you. Everybody wants the magic pill. Everybody wants a fad and all that bullshit. But I actually don't think that keto and all that's healthy in the long run, to be honest with you. Anyway, don't get me started
Yeah.
on all that. But I don't mean to offend anybody, by the way. But um, I lost all that weight. I got rid of my toxic relationship. I stopped hanging out with those party rock stars, and I basically just turned my whole life around.
Mm.
And I love that because it's not just me. Or that's one thing I love about like life and like business, and it's like literally you can go from like all the way down here to like up here like pretty freaking quick. You know what I mean? I mean, everything I just told you happened in a matter of months. I mean, I totally changed my life from a couple of months. Now what's left? I'm good. I'm healthy. My doctor's looking at my blood. They're shocked. They're, dude, damn, everything's good. Your liver, everything. My God, like I'm healthy. I've lost weight. I'm not on the medication those drug dealer doctors wanted to put me on. I'm not doing well. But guess what? I still don't have a why, and I have no, and I never in my life liked what I did for a living. You know what
Mm,
I'm saying? That was a very important thing, and so that journey took me to a homeless place.
wow.
Because at this point I had nothing, and I didn't know what to do with my life for a living. I had no why. So we migrated out west. As funny as that sounds, as caveman as that sounds, I was born in San Francisco. So we just migrated out there. My brother and oddly enough, everything I just kind of told you, in a much more watered down version, my brother was going through as well. In a much, much, much more watered down version. But anyway, we went to west to try to find a why. So couldn't afford anything. Ended up living in the back of an office building in the phone room where they keep the phones and electrical wires. There was this little closet, um, no windows, no hot water, no shower, air vents, exposed air vents, and we lived in there on a bunk bed. My brother and I, and we actually, a couple $100. We had a couple hundred to our name or whatever. We furnished the place for a couple $100. Used coffee table, whatever, whatever it was. And that's where we were. And every day on a $150 laptop, I'm looking for my why. You know,
Wow.
I'm looking for my why. I don't know. I'm looking on Craigslist every day, and one day I just bump into. And it's interesting because I just never gave up. Um, Otherwise, I'd still be on the bottle probably right now, talking about how life sucks. But I bumped into a website, bro. Like ClickFunnels.com, like one of these sorts of things, and I was just like blown away. It was like some internet marketing site. I'm just like, wow. Like I just saw everything. I'm like, I know why that big button is red, and I know why that lady's smiling, and I know why they put that testimony there. And I'm like, it just all came to me
Wow.
like I was Neo from the Matrix or something. You know what I mean? It was really weird, man. It's just like I just saw everything clearly, and I'm like, dude, this is freaking brilliant. I love this. I need to get involved in this. You know, at the time it was network marketing, and so you need some money to get involved in it. I didn't have any, being homeless and all. I did have one possession to my name, and that was my old beat up car. So I sold it. And people thought I was nuts. Like, dude, you're freaking homeless. Like, you have one thing that can maybe get you around, help you out, get you food and stuff. I'm like, no, dude, I'm all in, man. I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna make it, or I'm gonna die trying. And for me, it wasn't just like some cool slogan you put on a T-shirt. For me, it was like I
Yeah.
think a lot more literal. You know, um, so $2,000 is what my car was worth. Sold it, went all in. Now I literally had nothing. And first month, not a single sale, not a single sale. And I'm just like, but you see, because I dropped all my bad habits, and because I had a better mindset now, was my more clear, and because life was on the right track, and I was getting good from the inside, I was able to have the clarity and the focus and the maturity not to give up
Yeah.
and not to blame the system. Be like, oh, dude, this is a scam, this is a pyramid, this is nonsense, this is rigged. No, this is God. None of that. I looked in the mirror and I'm like, dude, you know what? I'm actually on the phone all day, every day. I'm just not closing. Why? Like I blame myself. So I started tweaking the system a little bit. At that moment, that was such an important moment in my career. Is when I didn't give up and I looked at me and said, "No, dude, I'm not giving up." And that was the mentality I went in with. By the way, so I'm literally gonna make it big, or I'm gonna die trying. And that was it. No plan B,
Yeah.
nothing. And after some tweaks, my first ever $500 sale, and then like I was really happy. And then $1,000 month, and then a $3,000 month, and then five, and then 10, 20, 50, 100, on and on and on. And, just really blessed and happy that it started from that I was just kind of given a second chance. And I mean, listen, in all honesty, why we do what we do is I love entrepreneurs. you know, and I
Same.
believe they're inherently good people. And I believe that they want to make more money. 90% of them are stuck, and we help them get unstuck and scale. Um, we believe they're going to take a portion of that revenue and give it to their families, communities, and favorite charities, hence making the world a better place.
Yeah, such a beautiful story. There's a couple of things I really,
Oh,
really
thanks.
want to take a moment here and highlight. One, a lot of people and focusing up on their external circumstances. And I think what you highlighted so beautifully, given, it took a near death experience to get to that point, but how everything shifts when you actually deal with the root cause, which the root cause is always internal. And you made that shift internally, and 50 pounds sheds right off. All these old habits that, I don't know if you were or were not in an attempt to dismantle some of these habits, but what people do with habits is they tend to, I call it like mess around in the dark, right? They're just like trying to do shit, but it's not doing anything, or it's like doing something for a very short period of time and then they kind of yo-yo back to it and it gets even worse. And really the true answer is to do that inner work. I mean, I think you got like a spiritual bypass surgery almost, if you will, or someone's like,
Nice.
all right, here you go.
Nice.
Here's your new lease on life. And I
Right
just think
on.
that's really beautiful. I just, for everyone that's listening, like that's to me, and this is why what we do at Satori Prime, like to me, it's so important that people get that that the inner work is everything, and when that shifts, everything else shifts. And then the other thing that you highlighted, which is right alongside of that, is kind of that all-in mentality. And for entrepreneurs, and you coach and train entrepreneurs too, so this, it's like you either have that or you're not making it. Because if there's ever a backdoor plan B, option C there, you won't play the way that this game is meant to play. And the universe always tests you in ways that are unimaginable to you because that's your journey, right? And every single entrepreneur I've ever interviewed or ever spoken to always has that moment where it's like, but are you really sure that this is what you want, right? And it's
Right
like
on.
you're facing absolute bleakness, right? Like that first month, you put all this effort and energy and all this stuff, and it just like
Um,
slaps you right back in the face. And you're like, here's all that effort you put in. I'm going to
yeah.
give you that, like a big old goose egg, right? And for a lot of people, that's so demoralizing.
Yeah.
So one of the, I think there's ordinary human beings and I think there are extraordinary human beings. And extraordinary human beings have a capacity to stay in no result longer than
Hmm.
anybody else. Like they will stay and continue to play with full out enthusiasm, doing whatever it fucking takes for
Hmm.
them to make it happen, or they will die trying. And
Right
until
on.
you have that attitude, those are truly the only people that I know that
Hmm.
have made multiple 7, 8, 9, etc.
Right
figure
on.
businesses, is that attitude. Because I don't care how much you're motivated by money, money's not a good factor. I don't
Right.
care how much you're motivated by achieving status or proving people wrong. Like these are things that can get you out of the starting blocks, but they're not going to keep you in the game.
Right on.
So,
No, man, it's so true. I mean, like, all right, I got to talk about like sexy versus unsexy for a second
mm,
because, like, yeah, right now one would consider like, okay, it's sexy right now, right? Like, okay, you can do whatever you want, you can travel, you can buy whatever you want, you can do whatever you want. You know, these are the sexy times that everybody wants, right? Well, to get there, you got to do the unsexy. So you want to talk about 10 years? I didn't give up in that little turning point. But let's really study this. Like, it's a cool story and all, right? But let's kind of dissect it for a second for people's benefit, right? I didn't give up, and that was a turning point in my life, right? I mean, I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for that moment where I just did not give up. But guess what? Let's take a look at the backstory on that. For 10 years, I had tried drop shipping websites, selling on eBay, selling fashion online, selling furniture online, a bunch of online stuff, and that most people probably tried, right? Different network marketing opportunities, they're all different online. For 10 years, I failed.
mm,
For 10 years, I did give up because I never really made a dime in any of that stuff.
mm.
So what changed? Why did I give up and all that? And I didn't give up then. People say, "Oh well, my gosh, you're cornered. You were homeless. You had no choice." Like, I can't do that. That's not true. That's the easy answer. But really, when you think about it, it goes back to what I was saying before: is that if you're not right as a human, if you're not have some mental clarity, if you're not a bit spiritual, if you're not healthy physically and mentally, if you don't have the right people around you, you cannot perform at an optimal level needed to have that switch. You see, that switch will never turn on unless you're right from the inside.
Yep.
Do you see what I'm saying? And that's what people need to work on first. And the problem is that's the unsexy. And the problem is everybody wants done for you,
Yep.
blueprint, shortcut. And guess what? To get yourself right on the inside is free. It's about drinking water. It's about eating right. It's about leaving your friends that are bringing you down. It's about just being grateful for what you have. It's about all these things that are actually free. And you see, I help business. You see, 90% of businesses are stuck. Yeah, they don't grow. So when I help them break through, guess what? It is most of the time, all the time. You know what the problem is? Their fundamentals are off.
Hmm.
Their fundamentals are off, which makes an easy job for me. But it's the same exact with people. Their fundamentals are off. They're not healthy. They're eating all their junk. The doctors probably got them on some junk medications. The people around them are not helping.
Yeah.
So if you clear all that out, okay, which is honestly, like I said, you do all that, and if your life sucks, like your life is so bad, you feel like you deserve a TV show. All right, it can literally go over here pretty freaking quick, man. I mean, I gotta tell you, my life sucked for many years. And, it's not so bad right now, to be honest with you. And I say that not to show off. I say that because I genuinely want, and I'm sure you're the same. I genuinely want people to grow, people to be happy. There's so many unhappy people out there. Divorce rates 50%, 70% of people hate their jobs. People are miserable out there, and then doctors love it because they'll push any sort of medication they want on you because they're
Yeah.
pill poppers. But, um, hey, man, a pretty cool life is literally just a couple of months away.
Yeah, it's so true, and it's so good to hear you say it. By the way, I love that line. Like, my life sucks so much, I deserve a TV show.
I should make a T-shirt, right?
I'm absolutely taking that line. Because the second you said it, I was like, man, that's probably like, people have like a lottery ticket mentality. They're like, I'm gonna
Right.
make my life so fucking shitty
Yeah.
that someone's gonna give me a TV show. Um, there's something that you said there that I want to ask you about. So like fundamentals of business, right?
Yeah.
Let's like switch script here because there's definitely entrepreneurs on this call. So when you're working with people about the fundamentals of business, or you see that people's fundamentals of business are off, because I think we've spoken a lot about the fundamentals of the human being.
Right.
What are some of those things that you see that 90% of businesses are missing that that if put in make it the biggest difference?
Clarity. Right. Right. So watch this. I've interviewed people from newbies to people who've generated over $500 million, right? For me to help them. All right. I always ask one thing, like, how much do you want to make? Right? How much do you want to make this year? And I'm writing the answer before they even tell me. Right? Can you guess what it is?
$1 million.
Absolutely 100% correct. And in my interview, I actually have that preloaded so I don't have to waste my time typing because that's how many, because 99 point something percent people say $1 million. And then I always ask another question right after. I say, why? And they all pretty much say the same thing. They could say, oh, I want to pay my student debts off, or oh, I want to travel, or oh, I want to. But if you really boil it down, they all want time and financial freedom.
Hmm.
Okay, well, why do you think $1 million? I mean, that's where the flaw is right there. It starts right there. It's like, all right, so $1 million's going to get you time and financial freedom. Figure, and they don't figure. It's just some number. What the way people should be operating in order to scale is to actually have a plan. Okay, so I'm in coaching. It's $10,000. So I need 100 clients. Okay. Now, how do I get 100 clients? On Facebook testing, it's costing me 500 to get a client, so on and so forth. You have a plan, right? there's an actual plan in place and you can reverse engineer. When I do that simple exercise that should be 101 fundamentals, people are just like, wow, you're right. Like, wow. Like, I mean, just writing it down, like, okay, and by the way, you don't really need $1 million. Like, okay, let's write it down. Your dream house, what's that going to cost you? 2,500 a month. You want a nanny? Okay, cool. That's going to cost you 2,500 a month. You want to send your kids to private school? Cool, 2,500 a month. Oh, you want to eat all organic? Okay, awesome, 1,000. These are things that people are not doing. You'll find that you actually need a whole lot less than $1 million to live your dream lifestyle.
Absolutely.
There's actually a magic number that I think most people would be very happy making and live a very high quality life, and that's only $20,000 a month. Most people have a great lifestyle at 20,000 a month, but they just have this elusive number. But when you have this elusive goal, that's kind of meaningless. It's not going to happen. It's never going to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not a materialistic person. You know what I'm saying? Like, to be honest, I was perfectly happy being in a homeless state. In all honesty, I'm not.
You're probably the happiest you've ever been at that point once you started this business.
I'm a pretty simple guy, but like, the reason I like to make a lot more and I want to make a lot more money is honestly I just want to make a lot more impact in the world.
Yeah.
Like, right now, and here's another thing. I believe people. This kind of ties in with everything we're talking about. I really feel that people need a why that'll make you, right? Like, your reason for wanting to scale should be so powerful that you literally cry from it. Do you know what I mean? So for me, what happened was I was introduced to an organization that were actually, for less than $100, you can actually give the gift of vision to a blind kid.
Wow.
So when I heard that, dude, I'm just like, dude, just take my debit card. Like, what do you want from me? Like, what am I going to go? Like, you're telling me that you can a blind Asian countries. And I'm just like, it was like such a moment for me. Like, dude, you know what? That's my number one thing. That's what we do. What we do. That's what we're going to do now. And, like right now I'm getting ready to write him a 5-figure check, and it feels really good. It feels really, really good. Otherwise, honestly, we can just take, the next year off or next couple of years off or whatever. We don't really have to do any of this. But the reason I say that again is because, like, you need that. You need that why. Otherwise, you're not, why would you do anything? But I mean, I hope, like, I was clear on the fundamental, on like part of, like, it starts with that, right? Is that a plan, an actual plan. And what's really cool is because I have a coaching program, right? So it starts with your business in a day, and it's 1 hour. We quickly figure out what it is that you do. Okay, what makes you different? How many of whatever you have do you want to sell? How are we going to make that happen? Are we going to get a brand out of you? Do we need you to get a best-selling book? Do we need paid traffic? And we actually map it out. And you can literally map out. What's crazy is you can map out your entire business year in 1 hour. It's like, I want to have a landing page. I want to have a sales page. I want to do a webinar. I want to do, then you break it down. Okay, what's it going to take to make a sales page? Okay, it's going to take some images, some copy. Okay, cool. I need a copywriter. I need a graphic designer. You start breaking down. What do you end up having is a whole checklist of things to do. And that's what I'm talking about, fundamentals. Nobody does this, right? They're all like, click. Okay, where's my million?
It's not here yet. It's not
here. What's happening? I guess I'll sit down and wait a minute. You know what I mean? So it's like, and you want to talk about businesses, people who are in business, and remember, 90% of them are not growing; they're stuck, right? And it goes back to that: is all their fundamentals are off, their messaging is off. Most people fail the dumb bum test, what I call the dumb bum test, right? You go into their website and take a look at it for a second, close the laptop for 3 seconds, and you answer me 3 questions. Number 1, what was that? What's in it for you, and how can you get it? Clarity. Most people, when you go to their website, refuse. I don't know what the hell I just looked at. I don't know. I think they're selling fried chicken or something. I have no idea. You know what I mean? So it's like, just one of the biggest fundamentals is just, clarity.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's so fascinating about the whole money thing.
Uh-oh. Did I lose you?
Yeah, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, I was saying about the whole money thing. I think the first time I heard that concept was, I think it was like a Tony Robbins thing where some guy stood up and was like, I want to make this amount of money. And he started going through, he's like, okay, well, what would you do with that money? Okay, I'm going to buy a house. How much is that? And he like started going through all these things. Like, I want a private jet. He's like, well, do you want a private jet or do you want to just be able to fly everywhere? Because if you want a
Right.
private jet, it's this amount. But if you actually want to just fly, you
Right.
can rent a plane for 20 grand pretty much for wherever the hell you want to fly.
Yeah.
And I started actually, I remember I was driving in the car and I'm going through this stuff. I was like, wow, you really don't need as much money as you think. And where you
Yeah.
tied in beautifully to that second piece, which is the why. And I really like that you said that, like, your why should be so powerful that it makes you cry. I've never really heard that. Um, I personally believe, and you work with a lot of like really high level entrepreneurs as well, that the ones that make it for a long term make, well, their business is not just a business. It's more of like a career. Like, they are so, it's part of who they are. Not like that they tie their identity to it. It's just a self expression of who they are in the world, and they make it about others. Like, it's stopped. I get that everyone in the beginning, you're poor, you're broke, you're whatever. You got to take care of home. Like, when you're living homeless and like, you just got to take care of home. Like, you can't think
Right.
about other people
Yeah.
until home's taken care of.
Right. On.
After that, though, you're either going to make it about, you know, giving back, helping people, whether monetarily or through education or something, or you do what I call kind of like the cash grab. And those are the people that generally I've seen don't make it. Like, whether they're building an Amazon business or an info product business or whatever, it just so becomes about making more money, making more money, making more money, that you make stupid, short-sighted decisions instead of building like the long-term vision, the legacy, I guess, of who you are and what you're building. And at least the people that we tend to work with, and I'd love to hear from you, like, those are the people that I like to work with. The impact people, the people that have the vision so much bigger than themselves, rather than the ones that are like, hey, give me that formula so that I can, enhance my Facebook ad to make 10x what I'm making right now. And you're like, why? And it's like, because I want to make 10x of what I'm making. You there? Did I lose you?
Right. One of the things I love about like this business and like what a blessing it is to be an entrepreneur, man, is that success really is. I feel a lot of people like luck, luck, luck. I honestly feel success is not luck. I feel success is an option. And I feel it's an option each and every one of us had. It's an option I had for 10 years that I never took. Okay. Um, what I love about it is you can literally design, you could design who you want to work with. And what's beautiful about that is the laws of nature are really your partner in this, right? Because when I put my stuff out, right, put myself out there, and that's kind of like ingrained in the DNA of all my videos and my marketing and my stuff. Like-minded people, because those guys are coming back to me. So I'm not getting the get rich quick guys. I'm getting good, kind-hearted people who generally have a product or service that they can make the world a better place.
Yeah.
And they want to grow so that they can make a positive impact. So it's like one of the things I love, because like if you have some job, you got to work with any schmuck that comes to the door. That you got no choice. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, I mean, I couldn't do that, right? If I had, I mean, I think that's why I can't have a job, because I can't work with, like, if somebody walks through my door and they're just some guy who's not interested, who's got some like, they want to sell sugary drinks to kids, like high sugary drinks to kids or something. If I got a job, I got no choice. I got to take on that client.
Yeah.
I've rejected, and again, I'm not saying this like to be cool, but I'm saying it as a form of liberation. But I've rejected enough business, to feed a village. I mean, I won't take you unless you have something positive that
Yeah.
makes the world a better place. I mean, just recently, I think it was like we rejected a good solid 5 figures. What the hell did they do? They were Oh yeah, yeah. It was like some sleazy dating site or something like that, where they're helping people, guys and girls, hook up for one night or something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, I don't care if you offered me seven figures, I'm not doing it. And it's true. And then people are like, oh well, it's nice to be in a position to say something like that. Well, guess what? That's my position since day one.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Because people
Yep.
want to come up with that bullshit, right? Like, oh well, yeah, you can say that, right? No, I've been saying that since day one.
That's so key. I interviewed this other woman who we did some branding work with, and the story went something like, she was going on her own. She was working with some big names, but she went on her own and was trying to get clients, this and that. And she got down to the point where she was so broke
Hmm.
that she was eating one apple for 3 days.
Jesus.
Yeah, like that's the only thing she had. And during that time, a person came to her and was like, "Hey, we want to hire you," blah blah blah, and it, like you said, was totally against every moral fiber in her being. It was like, I don't remember the exact story, but something totally sleazy that went against her, and she said no. And then another person came who was also like totally against what you do, and she's had to say no again. And this is like, she's in dire straits. And then the next person that came through was like the ideal client, the most perfect thing, got like the most amazing gig, et cetera, et cetera. And it that is the mindset. Like the rewards come when the mindset's there. And I went, I went, I went in to 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I went into a mastermind with some really, really high level entrepreneurs. And the question was asked, which is a pretty generic question, but I thought it was really great. They said, what's your definition of success? And then you have like 30 people going around just
Right.
sharing what their definition of success is. And the one answer that I remember that I thought was so brilliant is he said, I get to say no more than I get to say yes.
Right on. I
And I
love
was
that.
like, damn, that
Yeah.
is so
That's
good,
excellent. Yeah, that's a good
right?
one.
Because it really is true. It's like exactly like you said. You get to work only with who you want. It's aligned with your why. It's aligned with who you are as a human being. And that's not to say that we all haven't uh, been duped into working with people
Right
that,
on. It's happened. It's happened.
it's happened. The beauty is that we get to fire them, right? Like if it doesn't align and all of a sudden you're like, you know what, this just doesn't feel good anymore. Like, here you go. Because I learned a long time ago that I would rather pay someone more than they paid me to get rid of them at times than
Right.
take their money in the first place. And as long as I remember that, I'm like, I really just trust. I don't even think with my head anymore,
Right
because
on.
your head will guide you and be like, what are you talking about? Right? Like 5 figures, like someone's going to pay you 5 figures that could do this and this and this and this. And
Right on.
it'll fucking logic it. But
Yeah,
if
yeah,
your
yeah.
heart says no, just trust your heart and go with that.
The good news is, for those of those, more profit driven, it's very profitable. It's a very profitable mentality, because you'd be like, well, wait a minute, you just said no to 5 figures. How the hell is that profitable? But when people find out about that, your respect goes through the roof.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you a great story. A guy came up to me, right, and paid me a good lump sum to work with him. And he said, listen, man, I'll be honest with you. You're kind of new in the game. And I am. To be honest with you, last year was my first full year in this business, seeing this kind of success. Remember, I said things were quick. I mean, not too long ago, I was homeless. So guy came up to me, gave me a good lump sum of money, and said, hey, man, I want to work with you. He said, by the way, I just want to let you know something. I can afford to work with anybody. Okay, I can work with Gary Vee. I can work with Tony Robbins. I can work with any one of the top guys out there. He says, let me tell you why I worked with you. Because I connect with you. I connect with your message. I relate to you. Okay. That's why I'm working with you. And like my whole world changed at that moment, because it was just such a realization that, wait a minute, dude, I'm some newbie kid, right? Funny looking, funny name, brown skin newbie, right? And people are electing to work with me over the top dogs because of a connection. And like I got a moment of clarity there, like how the world works. And we all got the same chance. We all got the same opportunity, and we can compete with anybody. And your competition is, honest to God, irrelevant. I joined a mastermind recently, a high-end mastermind, and they had me fill out this whole questionnaire about my competition. There's a bunch of questions about my competition. I had one line. I said, "Listen, I'm really sorry. I don't know who my competition is. I I don't get involved. That doesn't mean anything to me. I don't know who they are. I don't see what they do." And they're just kind of like, "What?"
Yeah.
But it doesn't really matter what they're doing, because you got to do you, and they don't matter because people are going to connect with you over them and vice versa. So that's the beauty, man. I mean, I got to tell you, I come from an entrepreneurial family. We've been in business for 9 generations or more. There's only a big family. Let me tell you something. I mean, we're talking a lot of people, enough to fill a stadium. Okay, there's only
Wow.
been a handful of people who've had jobs. And each and every one of them have been entrepreneurs. So I'm used to every kind of business model out there. And let me tell you something. The online business is by far sexy I've ever seen or been exposed to in my life.
So true. I'm curious, what businesses were your parents in and stuff like that as you grew up? What was the experience?
Yeah, man. We're a retail family. Clothing stores, furniture stores. I hated it, by the way. I still do. I hate retail with a passion. I call it a self-made prison. Just in these four walls, you know. Customers always right when I don't think they're ever right.
Yeah.
And it's a nightmare. I hate it.
Yeah. Wow. The online game, the thing that I think people are missing, almost like even in the Bitcoin thing, you brought it up earlier, like, oh man, I just wish I would have invested, blah, 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 blah. To
Same.
me, what's happening in the online world is still so new. Like
Right
it
on.
really is so much still the wild, wild west. There's just a whole generations of people still trying to figure out what the fuck this whole internet thing is,
Right on.
how to use it. And I started online in 2011. So this will be our seventh year.
Right on, man.
Right.
Congratulations, man.
And I can tell you that, like, even in the time that I've been in this space, and I'm sure you could attest to this, it has changed so much. Even in the last year or two, the shifts are monumental. Whereas before, and I think like in the mid to late 90s, it was even worse. But like at that time, anyone with half a brain could put up an ad for anything on Google and make $50,000. And
Right
then
on.
these are the people that are coming out like, oh, let me train you how I made $77,000 in a day. I'm like, you can't fucking do that stuff anymore. So what are
Right
you
on.
training people on?
Yeah.
And I think what I'm noticing shifting, and I think why people like us are becoming more and more prominent, is because it is about being true to yourself, being honest with your customers, having massive amounts of integrity, not hiding behind a computer screen, being real, connecting with people, using this tool as a means to get a message out to a larger group of people, but still doing those fundamentals, which is I want to see your eyeballs and I want to like know that you're real. And I, right, like maybe don't handshake people because we're working with people from all around the world, but like, you know,
Virtually, we do.
yeah, no one's paying me $30,000 or $100,000 that we haven't like done at least one of these,
Right
maybe
on.
not in person, but like at least one of these. And the world of let me sell you all this fucking hype and tell you how I made 1,273,076 cents. Like people don't buy it anymore because
Right
it's
on.
garbage and it's bullshit. And like the meters are so high now that it
Yeah.
really is making a lot of people that used to live in that world kind of obsolete,
Right
I
on.
guess. And it really is shifting the way the world is. And I think there's an opportunity for anyone who has that as an ability, like integrity, communication, being real with people, being authentic. Um, just learn some basic skills and get online.
Listen, man, I think we're the bearer of good news. And the good news is honestly, I mean, it's like, it's 90% mental. And it's honestly, once you've decided not to give up,
Mm,
watch this. And this should be fabulous news for everybody who's either like new or everyone who's in business but wants to make more money, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I've never met a single person who hasn't given up and who's done like at least 3 things a day to move their business forward that hasn't made it,
mm,
that hasn't scaled, that isn't successful. Like, I don't know a single person.
totally agree.
I mean, it's just like for people listening, it's just like, well, then there you go. And that's kind of the realization I remember. I'll never forget. And I had this realization when I went to my first like internet marketing conference, right? And by the way, we, you know, I got out of network marketing really quickly, by the way, because I hated it. And I hate network marketing. No, all due respect to anyone listening. But when I went to my first internet marketing conference, and it was in London, and usually like in school, I would sit in the front row. I did that because I never really did any homework, so I had to like really kind of pay attention and sit in the front row to make up for that. But like when I went to the internet marketing conference, all the top dogs who were presenting, they were in the back getting ready. So instead of sitting in the front, I would usually sit in the back. So I kind of like lean back and get my ear and listen to what they're saying, kind of behind the scenes. You see what I'm saying? I had a life shifting experience there. And I'm listening to these top dogs, these 7-figure earners, these guys who like everybody in that room wanted to be. I'm like, damn, dude, that guy's no different than me.
Yep.
Like, wait a minute, that guy's got a presentation an hour, and I'm listening to him. It's not done. He's still got to make slides sitting there, and guess what? And he's asking his friends, did he do well? Did he do well? He's insecure just like me. He's sensitive just like me. He just learned. He just read something in a book, and he's about to teach it. Just that anybody could do. I'm like, dude, these people are no different than us. They just haven't given up.
Yep.
And what's crazy is like just to bring that story around. That dude who I love, who hosted that event, I contacted him and told him what I just told you. I was like, you know what? From that conference, I really made it. By the way, we're in the 7-figure world now. I was invited, as someone sitting in the back seat of that. I was invited to come speak at that event, which was like just one of the most beautiful, like bring it home kind of things that ever happened to me, because I went from I was totally you at that time, trying to figure it out, just be like everyone in that room, just want to make just want to just want to take over and be like the top dog. And you go from that to realize that, wait a minute, they're just like you, just don't give up and just keep going forward. And then it happened, because we didn't give up and we kept moving forward and we had a good why. You know what I mean? So it's just like, I just want to say, like, to everyone out there, like, no matter where you are in your journey, and this journey is crazy, no matter if you're making nothing or 6 figures or 7 figures, whatever it is, like, scaling is right around the corner, man. It's right around the corner. And there's no reason in the world why you can't do it.
Absolutely. You just reminded me of such a funny story. So I went to, we joined the company. Like when we went online, we went through one of those like training entrepreneurial communities, etc.
Right.
And I remember sitting in the back of the room, same thing, like you watching these people and going, same concept, like, wow, these people are no different. Like I can absolutely get on that stage, even though I didn't know a lot about the online marketing space, like just the wealth of knowledge I had about personal development and stuff like that. I knew that I can make shifts in this room.
Right.
So I remember I left and I was like, next year I'm getting up on that stage. Like next year I'm getting up on that stage. And next year I got up on that stage, but it wasn't to speak. We got some sort of award. We got like one of the marketing awards.
Right.
And I remember laughing to myself. Like obviously I was super excited, and part of me was like slightly disappointed because I wasn't clear in why I wanted to be up on that stage. I didn't say I want to be up on that stage speaking. I just said I want to be up on that stage, and I got exactly what I asked for. So then the next year I was like, next year I want to be up on this stage speaking. And we got invited to go speak up on that stage. And so it's really important when you're creating your why and when you're creating your visions that you're really, really specific in what it is you want, and really see and feel it. The important part is like the feeling. I read somewhere recently that feeling that you want to achieve is 500,000 times more magnetizing than the thought. So like when you're thinking, hey, I want to do this, the actual feeling, energy of the feeling is 500,000 times more effective. And so, yeah, dude, amazing conversation, man. It was just absolute blast sharing space and time with you, man.
Oh no, it's my pleasure, man. That straight reminded me of like, that's part of a good sales script, right? Is to make your prospect feel their desired result. And you kind of ask them like, hey, well, all right, if you were to scale to $1 million, like, what are you going to do? You know what I mean? You start having them feel that, oh, I'm going to buy my parents this house. And you start having them feel all that. You got to be careful too, though, man. Like, and I always like remind myself, because like once you figure out all this stuff, you can literally sell anything to anyone.
Oh yeah.
Right. But that doesn't mean that you should. you have to actually be the protectors, because like with great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
So if you see a guy, it's like, dude, this guy you shouldn't be. He's not ready. You know what I'm saying? And he's ready and he wants to buy. You got to say, no, man. Hey, listen, you're not there
Yeah.
yet. You know what I mean? Like, so I just got to throw that in there. But yeah, man, this has been really cool. I really it's been like a learning experience for me, man. I really appreciate it.
Same here, man. It was a pleasure. Where do people find out more about you, your company, what you guys are up to?
Yeah, man. You know what? I got this book. I like it. You know what I mean? It was like,
If you don't like it, that would suck.
yeah. You talked about like a boyhood dream, right? One of my boyhood dreams, like a kid, was to become like an international #1 bestseller. So we did that, and I wrote this book, and it's funny. It's called Seven Figure Funnels. A slap you in the face with a cold wet fish blueprint on how to create a 7-figure online business in just 7 ethical steps. Smiley face. And I remember like my editor was like, dude, I will quit. Like, do not, like, you got to be kidding me with that name, right? I'm like, I don't care. That's the name it's going to be. They're like, SEO, this, not like, that's meaningless. I don't care. That's the name. Publish it. And anyway, it became a bestseller in 7 countries, including America, across 3 different business categories. I really like it. Honestly, like, if you follow it, you will scale. Like, I'm telling you, if you follow it, you will scale. Like, I'm just going to throw out that bold, like, promise to you right now. Anyway, it's $47 on Amazon. I'd love to give it to you guys for free.
Wow.
Yeah, totally. Just go to my website, which is my name, akbarSheikh.com/bestseller.
Awesome. Thanks, man. That's a
Uh,
very, very generous gift.
yeah, I mean, like, the first page of the book, I have you sign it. And it's a promise that you're going to, I don't think people like, my problem with people reading is that like they'll read, they're like, oh, dude, I read your book in one sitting and I loved it. I'm like, dude, I'm sorry that I failed you, because my book's not designed to be read like that.
Yeah.
My book is designed where you read one chapter, you take very good notes, you put the book away, and you don't open it until you've implemented everything you've learned in that one chapter. And I have you sign it on the first paper that that's what you're going to do. Because when people do that, I've seen them keep growing and scaling, and we get stories all the time. Hey, man, thanks. We helped double my sales. Hey, man, our opt-in rate went from 5% to 35%. But like, my thing is, dude, please, 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 please don't read it in one sitting. Just read a little bit. Like, I'll give you an example. Like, my buddy, my right-hand man, his executive assistant, and I, we were listening to a podcast, and it's like half an hour long. 2 minutes into it, we paused because we learned a little nugget, and we spent the next hour and a half discussing how to implement that nugget.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? I like to do things like that. I find it very good. I highly recommend trying it. You know what I'm saying? I think it's very, very, very productive.
Yeah, it was one of the first things we ever told people when they start online, because when you start online, you're just getting drilled, but it's like drinking from a fire hose, and you're just getting drilled with so much information, and people have this weird, it's like a brain thing. It's like, if I'm consuming information, I'm moving forward in my business. You're not. You're just consuming information.
Right.
And like, until you implement that information, it's just information. And that doesn't move the needle at all. So I love that you said that. We'll have the link in the show notes for you guys to go grab that book for free, which is awesome. I'm gonna go grab it myself because
Nice, man.
I'd love to see where your mind's at and around this whole funnel hacking thing.
Thanks,
Dude,
man.
thank you so much for spending some time with us and sharing your wisdom and stories. It was truly an honor.
Man, thank you so much. If I can just say one line
Yeah,
before I
please.
leave, and that is like yeah, we could talk about split tests and copy and persuasion and all this stuff. That's great. Truth is that's kind of only 10% of it. One of my biggest secrets is, and I just want to share it real quick because I know we got to go, but just keep giving, right?
Mm.
Like, I like to give 10% of what I make to my favorite charities. If you don't have money, give your time. If you don't have time, call your mom, make her smile, because that
Mm.
counts too. But don't stop giving, because honestly, you just keep the more you give. Like, honestly, I've seen it time and time. You get a whole lot more than you give, and it's the #1 investment you can make, way better than Bitcoin or anything else out there. Is just to give back. And I got to say it because it's been honestly one of my top #1 secrets.
So good, man. Beautiful last words. Guys, we'll catch you on the next Have It All podcast. Till then, go out there and implement this stuff. Have an amazing day.
Thanks, man. Peace.